All right, it is September 27th, 2021, and this is another update video in the video journal series that I've started. And you can see a a package behind me, and you're probably wondering what the hell is that. So I got that package today, and it's from my job. It's from Dairy.com, and I didn't know what it was. It was big, right? It was heavy, and I opened it today, and look. They're monitors. They're LCD monitors. So not only do I have a very good laptop, workstation laptop that they've sent me, a Dell 2021 model, but now I have monitors, two of them. That's insane. I mean, I'm very thankful that they're sending me all this equipment to do my job, but I mean, I already have an office set or like stuff set up for an office. Like I already have a screen, obviously, main screen, 27-inch LED monitor, and an old monitor to my right, which is an old Asus. I think it's like 22 inches. But they've sent me two monitors. That's amazing, man. So I'm gonna have to move stuff around in my desk, like move the second monitor, and move my PlayStation 5 just so I can have room to put these two monitors. But I'm happy, man. Like the fact that I'm being sent all this like hardware, all this equipment is really, really cool. I like that. So anyway, what's going on my side of the planet, in my little corner of the world? So I spoke to my manager today, Tim. He called me a bunch of times. I actually missed his first two calls. Yeah, I I need to have my phone in ringtone mode and not like vibrate mode, because I miss a lot of calls that way, and I can't afford to do that anymore now that I have a job, because they're gonna be calling me a lot. So I need to fix that. I've turned the vibrate mode off. So Tim called me, and I was like, oh man, I missed his calls. I got to call him back. So I called him back about an hour later, and he's like, hey, Rick, I've been trying to reach you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I had my phone in vibrate mode, and I must have missed it. I'm sorry. I just heard your message. But anyway, he just, to make the story short, he just wanted to talk to me about my start date. So I start on the 30th, in a couple days, and he just wanted to go over what he plans to do in that during that day. So he explained, I'm going to be starting my training, and it's going to be like a week, and I'm going to be shadowing him and asking him questions, and I'm going to be watching videos, and I don't really have a schedule right now, but he said something along the lines of, your schedule will be basically my schedule, he said. However, apparently I'm the only one that is working for the company in the East Coast. Like nobody else works in the East Coast. So I'm the only one that has EST, Eastern Standard Time. Everyone else in the company, including him, work at Central Time, or in Central Time. So he said if you get a schedule, or if you get certain times given to you, you have to kind of convert them into your own time, because they're all going to be Central Time. So I was like, okay, no problem. And it's fine, right? Like it's only like an hour difference. So aside from that little call today, what else happened? So my dad's okay. He's not improving, but he's not getting worse either, right? Like that's good. He's not. I'm not saying that he's getting worse, or like he's not improving, but he's also not getting worse. So that I'm glad, because he's still coughing a lot, and we usually during the morning I give him an oximeter, the little device that you put on your finger, and it reads your oxygen and your pulse, your PRBPM. And usually his oxygen is like 95 or 96 when he's idle, when he's resting or sitting down somewhere. But when he gets up and he starts doing stuff, like walking or exerting himself, it goes down all the way to like 89 or 88, and that worries me. That really, really scares me. Um, there's nothing I can do about that. My dad used to be this very like strong person who, like he was really strong, man. Like he didn't care if he had a cold or like if he had the flu, he would still go to work. He doesn't care about that. No, if you really need that money, right, and you get sick, you still have to go. So he was kind of like that, right? He was very resilient. And to see him like this now, it's so heartbreaking. It really breaks your heart. He can't go down a flight of stairs. When he walks too much, he runs out of breath. And it's scary to me to think about where he's headed, even with the OFEV, even with the drug that he's taking. It makes me sad. I don't want to think about it, but it's constantly in the back of my mind. And it's just, I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it. So, I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately on 9/11. There's this one that I recommend watching that just came out. It's called 9/11 One Day in America. And it kind of fuses together real footage with like the people who survived telling their stories. Like they're telling their stories in the background, but we're seeing the real footage of that day, kind of comparing, with their stories, kind of matching with what they're saying. And it's really powerful, really powerful. I was alive during 9/11. I was like 9 years old, and I was in middle school at the time, in 6th grade. So on September 11th, 2001, sorry, I almost said 2021. Wow, it's been 20 years. Holy shit. Wow, time flies. You don't notice it, but it does. It flies. But yeah, September 11th, 2001. I was on the second floor of my school building, in my classroom, in my homeroom. And I remember we had just come back from English class, and we were bringing our books back to the homeroom class. And I remember I had like two large books, two English books. There was a soft cover book and a hard cover book. And I placed it in front of my desk, and I sat down, and I started, looking through my stuff in my backpack, when suddenly the homeroom teacher comes in, because she usually came in before us, but this time we kind of got to the homeroom early, or we didn't see her, right? So we just assumed like, oh, we're here early, we have to wait for her to come in. And she came in, but she seemed distraught. Like her face looked like she was anxious about something, and she had a cell phone, and she was trying to call someone, and I guess they didn't pick up. Like she was trying to contact someone. She placed her purse on her desk, her main, large desk, and started like searching through her purse for something. And she ignored us for a couple of minutes, and we were all just staring at her, because this was not her typical like attitude, or her, she didn't really she didn't ignore us. Like when she usually came in through the door, she would talk to us, be like, hey, everyone, how's your day? And then she would tell us what to do. Like she would write something on the chalkboard and tell us what to do. But this time it was different. Like, right? Like she seemed distraught. She was kind of upset. She was calling someone. No one was answering. She was searching her purse. She was ignoring us. And we were just looking at her like, what is going on? After a few minutes, she kind of like stopped searching her bag, and she just left. She left the room. She opened the door and left, and she left the door open. And we were like, okay, what is happening? We were looking at each other like, is she okay? 5 minutes later or 7 minutes later, I don't remember. Someone comes in, and it's the janitor. It's the guy that cleans the hallways and stuff. And he says, "You guys all right?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you guys know what's happened?" And we were just looking at each other like, "What's happened? What do you mean?" And he's like, there are some buildings in New York and they're on fire." And we're like, "What?" We didn't really understand. I mean, we were kids. I was 9. So we were like, "Okay. Does that mean that we get to go home?" You know? And then the janitor left. And we were left there for like 10 minutes alone. And then suddenly, the intercom system turns on. And the speakers say, because of the events happening in New York City, come down to the lobby to be picked up by your parents when your name gets called. And we'll be calling your names through the intercom, so pay attention. I think it was the principal that said that, actually. And we were like, okay. So for the next half an hour or 20 minutes, they were calling names. And kids were just grabbing their book bag, standing up, going to the lobby. So I remember just waiting there and talking to my friends who were, right next to me, because we had our desks pretty close to each other. And I remember telling them, like, do you think something bad has happened? Like, I guess we weren't really like processing what was going on. We had limited information, right? Buildings in New York on fire. And we were just like, do you guys think like a lot of people are hurt? And we were just talking. And suddenly I hear my name being called in the intercom. It's like, "Ricardo Amalaza, please come to the lobby. Your father's here." And I was like, okay. So I pick up my book bag and I look at my friends and I'm like, guess we don't have class today. This is great. I'll catch you guys later. And we did the whole handshake thing. Yeah, back in the day, man. that was the thing. So anyway, I pick up my book bag, I grab my jacket, put it on, go downstairs. And when I get to the lobby, there's a ton of people there, not just students, adults just waiting. And a lot of them are on their cell phones talking. And there's like this huge commotion, right, in the lobby. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I see my dad, who's near the steps of the front door. And his arms are crossed and he's just waiting, right? He's like waiting for me to, I guess, get down there. So I start walking towards him and he sees me and immediately he grabs my arm. He pulls me out. And he's like, okay, we got to go. We got to go home. And I remember this very vividly. When we exited the building, when we exited my school, immediately heard sirens everywhere. I could hear sirens, like police sirens from like the east, from the west. Like all the cops in New Jersey were on alert, and you could see cops just driving past super quickly. And I was just like, what is happening? Is this like the end of the world or something? And I remember asking my dad, I was like, "Dad, what's going on?" And my dad's like, "A plane hit the World Trade Center." And I was like, "What is the World Trade Center?" I had never heard of it or seen it. I was 9 years old. I had no idea. And my dad explains, like, World Trade Center, big building in New York City, very recognizable. It's part of the landscape of New York City. It's on fire. A plane hit it. I'm like, oh wow. He's like, yeah, very big plane. They think it's a terrorist attack, and a lot of people are trapped in there. So I'm like, oh man, that's horrible. And I kept thinking to myself, terrorist attack. This can happen in America? Like I remember specifically thinking that, like, as I'm walking away from the school and we're heading down down a sloped street to get to the corner of where I used to live, you know, back then. And I'm thinking to myself, terrorist attack, that can happen like in America? That's a thing? So we get to the corner of the sloped street, we turn right, and then we start heading towards home. And we go home. I go home. We enter the house, and my mom's there cooking food, but she has the TV on, and the news of the World Trade Center on fire. And I remember specifically it being like either CNN or one of those news channel. I think it was CNN. And they're just horrified. People in the news channel are horrified. They're like, "Oh my God." Like, and my dad comes in and he asks my mom, like, what else has happened? Because he went to pick me up. And my mom just casually tells him, "Oh, another plane just hit it." And my dad's like, "What?" And he goes to the screen to look at the TV, and they're just repeating on a loop the clip of the plane, the second plane hitting the South Tower. And I'm just looking at it too, like, 9-year-old me, just like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?" At that point, my dad's like, "Yeah, this is a very dangerous situation." He said, like, what else could happen, right? We're near New York City. And I remember my dad talking about his friends, because he had friends in Manhattan, because he used to work there years before as a teacher at a technical institute. And he remembered like his friends. He was like, "Oh man, my friends are there probably. This is horrible." And I stayed watching that news channel with my parents for like 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And then I told myself, I'm gonna do something else. Like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna put this out of my head. And I went to my room and I played StarCraft for the rest of the day. And I remember my parents being really, really distraught about the collapse, because they were seeing it on live television. They were like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And I was like, "What's happening?" And they called me into the living room, and I checked the TV, and there it was, man. The building just collapsing. And I was like, "Oh wow." Like, even as a 9-year-old kid, I could feel how impactful that was, how lives were being lost, and the day was just ruined for everyone. But yeah, that's my story. It's not really that great of a story, honestly. I got picked up from school, my parents, and we came home. That was it. That's basically it. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of documentaries on 9/11, man, and it's stuck with me. All these years, just thinking about it. But yeah. Anyway, I think I've talked for 18 minutes, almost 20 minutes. It's a lot. It's a lot of talking. So I start in 3 days my job, and I'm happy about that. I'm excited. And I got monitors to set up now. So tomorrow I'm gonna clean my desk, move things around, and I'm gonna install those things in my near my desk, so I see, like they sent me HDMI cables too with those screens. So they really want me to hook them up. So I gotta do that. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for another update. Peace.